Eric West here, HawaiiRealEstate.org, coming to you live again from the beautiful island of Maui, Hawaii. I'm here with Brooke and Ava. Say hi, Ava.
Say hi, Ava. Say hi.
So, this video is going to be talking about what happened the day of the fire. Brooke is a single mother that lost not just her business that burned to the ground, but also her home. It's an interesting story. I'm going to let Brooke tell it a little bit, but if you find it's important to support people from the Lahaina fire, single moms like this, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Please give to their Venmo. I'm going to put the link in the description. And it's very important that we bring awareness to what's happening here, and specifically to the plight of single mothers like this, so that we can hopefully shine a light and get people to pay attention. And this is the real story, forget mainstream media. And also shout out to Beast Philanthropy, because I believe Mr. Beast can help buy back Lahaina and help single moms like Brooke. So Brooke, thank you so much for coming out here and talking to me today. I appreciate it. I know going on camera is not exactly what a lot of people want to do, but I thank you, and I think you're going to help the community by sharing what you've been through and the support that you have or have not received. But talk us through a little bit about that day. You just purchased a home.
Yes.
In Opukea.
5 months before.
5 months before the fire.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons you purchased that home was it was close to your business that was in Lahaina,
Yep.
across from the Catholic Church.
Yep.
It was called the Beehive, right?
Yes.
You did lashes.
Yep.
And how long have you been building that business?
I've had that business since 2017.
2017.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the business is gone.
Burned to the ground.
Burned to the ground.
Completely gone. Destroyed. Yeah.
And you have not had access to your home in Opukea.
No.
Ever.
I've not been back since the day of the fire.
Because you're not allowed to go
I'm
back.
not allowed to go back.
Not allowed to go back.
My zone is not open yet for reentry.
And that's impacted your ability to
get
move
assistance,
forward with insurance.
to get insurance, to get FEMA assistance. Everything is held up from not having right of entry or right of reentry.
And do you know when you'll have access to
There is still no estimated date for my zone.
Okay. So we're not standing in front of her structure, but this is similar to what Opukea, parts of Opukea look like. Of course, she hasn't been there, so we don't know the condition of your home. We know nothing because you haven't been back.
I haven't been able to be back, yeah.
So walk us through what it was like the day of the fire. I know you had quite a harrowing escape with you and your daughter Ava, and I think your boyfriend.
My boyfriend Sean and my dog Mochi. Yeah.
So talk to us. What happened that day?
So we didn't have power that whole day. The power went out in Lahaina at 5:30 in the morning. It was that whole night. It sounded like a freight train going by because the winds were so strong. So I didn't sleep at all the night, but like I was up because the winds were so strong. My boyfriend calls me at 4 o'clock in the morning, asking me if I think he needs to evacuate. He was up in Kula 200 that morning, and so I get on my phone and I realized that the fire was coming up the gulch, like up right by where he lived.
So he was presented with fire danger as well.
In Kula, yeah.
Wow.
So I told him that he needs to get out of there, and so he did. And then he came to Lahaina, and by the time he got to Lahaina, at this point it's still morning. The power lines were down when he came down the bypass, and because all the down power lines, the police were already at that point blocking access to make a left-hand turn towards Opukea from the bypass. So he couldn't, at that point, but at 9 or 10 in the morning, he could not physically get to me.
He couldn't get to you.
By vehicle. So what Sean had to do was he parked his truck by Starbucks and left it there. And
Starbucks
walked.
by the Walgreens.
Yes, and
right.
had to walk to Opukea on foot in the 80-mile-per-hour winds. Got to my place, was with me, and then all of a sudden, we're in my condo, there's no power, and we're just watching debris fly the whole time. One of my windows shattered while we were in the condo from shingles and roofing hitting the window. And so, Sean's like telling me, like, I'm trying to keep my toddler away from the windows because it's not safe to be near the windows.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, like around 3, I feel like around 3 in the afternoon, we started to smell smoke. And then I knew right away that's not good.
Yeah.
because of how fast the wind speed. Like, so then we're like searching for where the smoke is coming from.
Can you see anything from your lanai yet?
Yeah.
Because I know your lanai looks a little bit to the south, right, towards Lahaina.
Yeah. So my lanai looks right at Mind's Eye Interior, and the boats and the harbor and everything. So. So we started to realize the smoke was coming from behind the Mind's Eye. It was coming from Lahaina Luna Road, which was right down the street from where I lived. So.
And no cell service?
We still had service at that point.
Okay.
At that moment, our phones were still working.
And obviously no warnings or no evacuation calls or police
nothing.
going through evacuating anybody.
Nobody was evacuating anybody. So, so then at that point, when we spotted the smoke, Sean was like keeping an eye on the smoke, and then I remember, I think at this point it was probably like within a half an hour of us detecting the smoke, and he's watching the smoke build. Quick, it all happened so fast. He says to me, "Brooke, you need to start packing." And so at that point, I grab a suitcase and I'm gathering our really important papers and documents. I made sure to grab my passport and our birth certificates and.
That was smart.
Like all of that essential paper items I grabbed, and it was weird because after I got all of those documents, I kind of went into I froze. And I'm like, okay, I got the social security cards, I got the passport, I got the checkbooks. Now what? Like, and then I started grabbing like random clothing items, like super random. None of it made sense. When I opened my suitcase, I'm like, what did I had like 3 pairs of shorts and like a bathing suit and.
Not knowing this would be the last time
I had no idea.
you'd have access to any of your possessions.
I did not leave there thinking I wasn't coming back. Right. If I had known that, I would have grabbed garbage bags and started just throwing clothes in garbage bags. If I had known.
And to this day, you've had no access to anything.
I have not. Nope. I've been living off of clothes that have been donated to me or clothes that I have had to purchase. Everything in my possession now is things I did not have before the fire. Because after the fire, when I evacuated, I left with one small carry-on suitcase.
So
and I grabbed a little bit of clothes for me, a little bit of clothes for Ava, and like I said, our important documents. And as I was packing clothes, that's when Sean looks at me and he's like, "Brooke," he started yelling at me. He was like, "Brooke, we need to go now." And I'm still like, trying to collect it, and he yelled at me. He was like, "Brooke, you need to stop what you're doing. You need to grab Ava, pick her up, and get out of here now."
So if Sean wouldn't have been there, do you think you would have evacuated?
I think I would have. I think it would have been, my evacuation story would have been a lot more intense.
Yeah.
It was already intense, but I don't think I would have left when he started yelling at me to get out of there. I think I would have waited around a little bit longer. I think I would have gathered more things. And then what all of us didn't realize was, once you left Opukea, there was gridlock traffic.
Wow.
So if Sean wasn't there, it would have been, maybe I would have been one of those people running to the water.
Yeah. So what was the traffic like when you left?
Gridlock. So then so then by the time me and Ava, I ran down 4 flights of stairs with Ava, she didn't have clothes on. She just had a diaper on. I ran down 4 flights of stairs with her on my hip. Sean's coming behind me with my dog. Luckily we both had our own vehicles. We had to make a right out of onto the highway, and when we got onto the highway, we could see that the entire highway was blocked and covered in down power lines. And then all the police were diverting everyone to go left and directing everyone to get to Front Street. And
they're directing you towards Front Street.
Yeah. And Sean was behind me. So I was the idiot that followed the orders at first. And I made the left, and I was sitting in the traffic, in the gridlock traffic, as the fire and the smoke is coming towards us, and the cars weren't moving.
So you made a left south on
towards the front. I made a left trying to get into the Safeway parking lot.
Wow.
I was and then I could see, and I'm sitting there at a standstill, and then I could see out of the corner of my rearview mirror, Sean. He can see. I guess because he's a boat captain.
He's a
I
boat
don't know.
captain.
He's got really good vision. Like he told me, he was like, I could see that when you got past the down power lines, he could see that the police had roadblocks blocking people from getting onto the highway from Front Street. So he knew it was a death trap.
It was a dead end.
He could,
Yeah.
So he, even though the police were blocking you from coming up the bypass, luckily at this point they only had plastic orange cones. So he just drove through them.
Wow.
So Sean, I watched him peel up.
So the boat captain took over.
The captain in him, yeah. So yeah, he just.
And you're seeing what he's doing,
I
and you're
watched-
following suit.
That's what I did, yeah.
Because you couldn't call him at this point,
No,
right?
because at that point our phones weren't working.
Wow.
And it was like in my instinct to not get separated from him because our phones weren't working. I knew, I was like, if I lose him, we'll have no way of, who knows what's going to happen to us.
So the only reason you survived is because you went around the blockades.
So I pulled a UE, I pulled like a 3-point turn, got myself out of the gridlock traffic, and then followed him. I also drove through the cones. The police were angry at me, giving me hand gestures and looking at me like I'm the crazy person for not following orders. And I didn't care at that point. At that point, it was so chaotic. There was no direction or order. It was like every man for themselves. Like in those moments, so then I drove up the bypass and found Sean pulled off to the side of right up here waiting for me.
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
we found each other, and then we were stuck. And then we were stuck up here because the police weren't letting people through the bypass.
So they were trying to turn people around.
So they were diverting everyone to go to Front Street. They wanted everyone to go down there. But at that point, we were stuck up where we were sitting. We were watching Lahaina go up in flames. And we were hearing the explosions, and we were watching the smoke even coming up towards us. And we were literally trapped. Sean had a 4-wheel drive truck, and he was like, stay here, I'm gonna try to find an exit strategy. And he went off-roading. Like he went through the gate and started trying to find a way out if the fire got closer to us.
So you weren't out of danger even then.
We weren't.
Yeah.
He was like, at one point he looked at me and he was like, Brooke, because I'm like, what are we gonna do? What are we doing? What's the plan? Like, what is our plan? Like, and he's like, we're safe right here. We're just gonna stay here for a little bit. We're just gonna cruise here. We're safe right here. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I don't feel safe right now. I don't think we're safe right here. We're not safe. I'm not safe. This isn't, nothing about this is safe.
Feels safe,
yeah, nothing about this feels safe right now. But he came back and he was like, if I have to like off-road, go up the Maui mountains in my truck, like we can do it. We're gonna do it. Like we're gonna ditch your car. Yeah. We're gonna get the dog, the kid, everyone in the truck, and we're gonna go off-roading. Like, and then out of nowhere, a police officer comes up and gets on his speaker and like tells everyone, get on the bypass, stay on the bypass, head towards Wailuku. And Sean and I just looked at each other and we're like, this is our ticket out.
You got released.
Yep, this is our window.
Wow.
And so we slowly, it took us 3 hours, I think, or over 3 hours to make our exit out of the west side. I didn't feel safe again. I remember once I got to Oluwalu, I felt like I got out of the danger and I felt like I could breathe again. And I was like, we made it. We survived. Driving through the bypass though, like up this road right here, we were driving by flames. Like I drove by actual fire.
That's crazy.
And the whole time my daughter's in the car, like pointing at it, trying to say, saying all kinds of things. And I didn't know what to say to her. The whole time I just told her, we gotta go, Ava girl, like we gotta get out, like we gotta get out of here, we're not safe, like. And so then we finally got to Kahului, and at this point it's like 8:30 at night. We made it to town. By the time we got to Kahului, our phone started working again.
Really?
Because the phones worked in town.
I've even heard people say they were able to call the mainland, but they couldn't call people in Lahaina.
Because no phones worked.
Nobody inside of this area.
Yeah.
Right.
So once you got out of the west side, you had cell phone reception again.
Right.
So once I got to Kahului and my phone started working again, then became the question of where do we go now?
Right.
Where do we go? Because we didn't know if Sean's place was still standing.
Because you got a fire up there too?
Yeah, because there were the fire in Kula.
That's crazy.
So then I'm calling hotels and I'm begging people to take us in. And everybody's telling me no. Everybody's telling me that there's no occupancy, that they're totally full. And I'm telling them on the phone, I just fled Lahaina for my life. I just came from a fire. I have a family, like, please take us in, like, please give us shelter. And they're like, we are sorry, ma'am, we're at full occupancy, sorry. I was so blown away by that. And then the one hotel that told me they had one room available for me was the Four Seasons. They told me I could have the room for $1,500 a night.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I was just like, and then I got so desperate at one point, I looked at my boyfriend and I'm like, you know what, babe, like, it's just money, like, fuck it, like, let's just like,
go.
we need
Right.
shelter, you know, like, and he's like, no, do not do that. Like, he's like, let's go up to Kula, let's see if the house is still there, and like, you know, and so we did, and then luckily his place was still standing.
And ironically, it would be FEMA that would end up staying at the Four Seasons once
And
they
they
arrive.
are.
And they are.
And they are.
All of the, I
Yeah.
saw a bunch of
Yeah.
government officials up at the Montage, and so they're
Yeah.
living high on the hog. So
Yeah.
let's talk about since
Yeah.
the fire, the support that you've received. Besides, we know the community is giving. We know you got stuff from these different community outreaches and stuff like that. But let's talk about the support from the government, because as we all know, the government's sending billions of dollars to Ukraine and other wars around the world. Meanwhile, single moms like this, I believe, are being left out to dry, basically, hung out to dry. So what's the support look like since then? You're a homeowner,
Yes.
your mortgage is still due, I'm pretty sure, right?
And I have HOA fees as
And
well.
you have HOA fees. So your HOA fees, you told me, just got reduced down from,
So my HOA fees went from $700 a month to $200 a month.
but you're still expected to pay the $200
I have to
a
pay
month.
$200 a month HOA
And
fees,
your
even though my place isn't even accessible.
And your mortgage, I believe you got somewhat of a deferment, is that right?
Temporarily.
Temporary deferment,
Yeah.
but that will resume again, right?
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually.
Nobody has any answers for me, which is very scary.
And one of the interesting gaps with Brooke is she lost a condo, which is different than obviously a single family residence. So her insurance that she had personally was just for contents, right?
Yeah, for the interior.
For the interior, but not the exterior
the
necessarily.
building or the structure, yeah.
So no matter what,
that's covered through the HOA insurance.
right, so from what you told me, you're not going to be a beneficiary directly of that, so you can't use any of that money to pay off your mortgage.
No.
And you're
They'll take, because what will happen is the HOA will take all the insurance money and use it to rebuild and do repairs.
At some point in time.
So as a condo owner, you don't get any of that money. You're just left with a mortgage.
So in the meantime, you
HOA
have to
fees.
figure out how to not just pay your mortgage and your HOA fees, but you also recently went through an experience of trying to rent a property.
Which is extremely hard to do.
And tell the audience a little bit about why that was so difficult, what your landlords basically were saying to you and what they made you do to get this property that you leased.
It's hard for people to rent to me because when I tell them that I lost my business to a fire, they look at me with side-eyeing me like, how are you going to pay the rent? And nothing is solid. It's like I'm still being told to just hang in there and wait it out and help is on the way, but nothing has really come yet. So when you go to a landlord and ask them to rent their home to you, for them, you're like a huge risk.
So the only way you were able to get this landlord to rent you a home was you had to essentially pay all the rent up front. Is that right?
Yes.
So Brooke here has to come up with a way to pay 6 months rent up front, and that's the only way that they would feel comfortable.
That they were willing to rent
That they're willing to rent to you. So this is the kind of support these are the challenges that real people are going through right now. And how much of that money will be coming for your deposit and for your 6 months rent will be coming from some type of government assistance? Will you get any money from the government to help with that kind of expense? Tell us just straight up, what's the support been like?
Well, the holdup is the fact that there hasn't been reentry yet.
So no reentry to your properties.
So what FEMA's telling me is that until they have a reentry, until a FEMA adjuster is allowed on the property, they can't start paying me until they make an adjustment, until they have an inspection and see it. But meanwhile, how am I supposed to live? And it's so crazy to me. Like, they're like, sorry, there's nothing we can do about it. This is our policy. This is our procedures for you to get the FEMA grant. So when you've been displaced, it's a process. I'll explain really quick. So the first thing that they tell you to do when you're a homeowner and a business owner is to apply for an SBA home loan and an SBA business loan. They're two separate loans. So I did that. I applied for the SBA business loan. I applied for the SBA home loan. I got approved for the SBA business loan to like rebuild my business, which is cool, I guess, but it's still a loan that I'm gonna have to pay back. And then I got denied the SBA home loan because they said they're not confident I can pay the money back. And I said, I'm not confident either.
Wow. You agree with them?
Yeah, I agree,
Right.
yeah. So then when you get denied the SBA home loan, you get reverted back to FEMA. And then that makes you eligible as a homeowner if you're underinsured, like I was drastically underinsured, for a FEMA grant money. However, FEMA cannot release any of that FEMA grant money to you until they are able to get on the property.
Wow.
So here I'm still waiting.
That's crazy.
That's my situation that I'm in right now, is like I'm just being told that there is possibility and likelihood that I will get assistance eventually, one day, someday, but nobody knows when.
But in the meantime, it's no money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's pretty insane.
Yeah. And then to expect
Yeah.
a single mom whose business just burned down to continue making a mortgage payment and HOA due, that's just not, it seems almost impossible.
I feel like there's days where I feel like what I have up against me is impossible to overcome, to be really honest with you. I have days, I have good days and bad days like anybody. Like I have days where I feel positive and optimistic, and I'm like, okay, like I've built my life from the ground up before, like I can do it again, and then there's days where I've got Ava screaming all day long and I can't even think and focus and concentrate, and I'm like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna get out from this? How am I gonna overcome this? I don't know, it feels kind of impossible right now.
Yeah.
And
that's why we're making this video, honestly, because I'm hearing this story not just from single moms, but I'm hearing it from families that we saw yesterday with Nuku and from Ed Cheney. So if you haven't watched those videos, please do that, and please share this story, because honestly, I have negative subscribers every day. It's not about my subscribers, but I'm being shadow banned, and the videos need to be shared so that your story can get out, so that the right people can hear this and the right things can happen. And I believe influencers all over the world can make a choice to shine a light on Maui and to start buying back Lahaina, essentially, so that I believe that every mortgage could get easily paid off by the federal government or by billionaires or by influencers that raise a bunch of money, so that at least you've got that portion taken care of. But if there's going to be a land grab here, it's going to be the banks getting these properties back from homeowners like you that can't afford to...
I just don't know how I'm going to be able to afford to keep a roof over my head somewhere else and try to move forward with life while I still have this ball and chain in Lahaina.
Right.
Because that condo is now, for me, the ultimate ball and chain.
Yeah.
I've got a mortgage and an HOA that I can't get rid of.
You're stuck.
I'm stuck.
And if you don't pay
and
it...
I just bought the place, which makes it more awful.
You sold another place and took all the equity from that and put it into this place. So everything that you built on Maui, you were a homeowner before this.
Everything that I've worked hard for and accumulated, and I poured into that condo that I bought I just closed on it in April of this year. And so now it's crazy how your life can get turned upside down like overnight, and you can go from like living a good life to living in complete desperation and squalor and struggle. I mean, I'm because of what's happened, I've been put in a situation where I'm completely dependent and on the government and on government assistance, and it's scary being reliant on the government.
And time consuming and frustrating.
And draining and stressful and exhausting.
And it doesn't even support you, which is...
It's never,
It's not going to be enough.
I mean...
Did you get your $700 check?
I did. I got...
Wow.
I mean, that's... Yeah. that was nice. That was so generous
That's
of,
amazing, huh?
of our president.
$700. Was that a couple trips to Costco?
That
maybe?
was like one trip to Costco. My kid eats a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
makes me wonder if people understand that Maui has got one of the highest cost of living indexes and average
Yeah.
cost of homes and condos in the country,
Yeah.
and everything should be adjusted accordingly.
Yeah.
And then also considering it's one of the most tragic events that's ever occurred in our country's history, especially
Yeah.
as it pertains to fire, that there'd be some special something like super special to
You'd-
help
You'd
people like you.
think,
You would
yeah,
think, right?
You'd think you'd give me like. I mean, you think it'd be they should be giving us an automatic, like, if you were a Lahaina fire victim and you lost your home and your business, you should get automatically at least minimum 40 grand. Minimum. I mean,
Like-
it's going to take more. And the
Like
truth-
minimum.
Minimum, yeah. I
Right.
mean, the reality is it's going to take more than that.
Right. And
To-
a
to
forgiveness,
get over
I believe a
this and get through
forgiveness
this.
of all debt,
Yeah.
or at least
Yeah.
no need to pay your mortgage until the reconstruction takes place.
You would think
Something,
that would be
'cause
reasonable.
How are people that lost their home and their job going to pay for a mortgage? It just doesn't make any logical sense. And
No,
they can't
it-
even live in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's.
should we bring Ava back?
Uh,
Ava misses mom.
my daughter's crying now.
So let's talk a little bit about what's the future look like for you? Do you want to? Because this is one of my challenges, or that I believe one of the challenges Lahaina faces, is that people like you, like been here for a long time,
Yeah.
successful business, raising a family,
Yeah.
are gonna leave. Do you want to leave? Do you want to
I-
stay? What's your hope?
I don't want to leave. This is the situation. The reality that I'm facing is I don't want to leave. Maui is my home. This is where I've built my life. I've been here since I was 22 years old. So the people in my life are like family to me here in Maui, but also the people that have always been my support system and my rocks that I've leaned on have lost their homes too. So everybody I know is struggling, and everybody I know is in survival mode. So the people that I used to lean on, I can't lean on now. As far as like earning an income and making having livelihood here in Maui, I'm not sure if I can do that. I'm not sure if it's realistic right now at the moment, given the climate of the way things are going. So right now, I'm in a position where I feel like I need to go to another island, and I don't want to. I feel like I'm breaking my own heart by doing this. I'm looking at it like a temporary move, and hopefully I can come back when things are better.
And your business.
I want to come back. I mean, my plan and my goal and my intention is, and my dream, it might be a pipe dream now, I don't know. Like, there's so much speculation about the rebuild of Lahaina, but I mean, I hope that one day I can somehow get my life back. I can somehow build a business back in Lahaina one day, and I can have my home back that I worked so hard for. But right now, I'm in survival mode. Right now, I feel like I have to make really tough decisions and sacrifices, and just try to survive and go somewhere where I feel like I can make money, where the economy is a little better.
Yeah. And you were in the eyelash, and you also had spaces for people to rent for salon space. Is that right?
Yeah, I owned, so my business, I had 5 rooms.
5 rooms. That's right.
Yeah.
And then you also, your specialty was lashes.
Yes.
Right,
I
and then-
specialize in lashes.
And then you would have other gals that would do other parts of the body, like hair.
Yeah,
and
I had
nails.
I had, so when I had the Beehive, like, I had independent contractors that brought their own services and their own unique gifts and talents with them, which was really cool. So, because I had all kinds of amazing women pass through those doors in the years I owned the business. I had girls that did microblading, I had girls that did sugaring, I had girls that did all kinds of skin care treatments and facials, and yeah.
So you provided opportunities for other people to make money inside of your shop. Yeah, so that's really cool. So you were right across from Maria Lanakea Church, and then right next to Maui Gyms, right? And right next to Fidelity.
Yep.
The best title insurance company on Maui. That's why I was used anyway. But that's kind of like central of Lahaina right
It was
there.
a good location.
Great location,
It was
yeah.
a good location.
And then you moved to Lahaina from Napili because you wanted to be close
closer
to work.
to work.
Right,
Yeah.
so you could spend more time with Ava.
Yeah, it did make my life easier.
Yeah.
And it did make my life better. I had a 5-minute commute to work every day, and you know, I will say that those 5 months I lived in that condo in Lahaina, I lived in total gratitude.
I remember.
I was so happy, and
You're
I was
stoking.
I was so grateful, and I was like, this is awesome. My life is working.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to go running every morning after I dropped my daughter off at daycare, and then I go to work, and everything was good. Like, I loved that home that I just lost in Lahaina was the nicest place I've ever lived in the years I've lived in home.
It was like the miracle deal. Remember, we had to sell the place in
gosh,
Napili, and it was
that
just like it
that
all
was
just happened
such a
perfectly, right?
challenge.
So when I heard about this fire, I thought, oh my gosh, Brooke, oh no, it was just what? You
I
just
know.
got there.
People, that's what everyone says to me. I know, they're
Oh.
like, oh no, Brooke. I'm like, yeah, it's the kind of thing where when it happened, it's like you just want to drop to your knees
Yeah.
and cry and curl up in a ball, but you can't do that for too long
Right.
because you got to wake up and go to fight with FEMA.
That's right.
And try to like get that money.
You better have your wits together for that one, right?
Because it's the battle of my life. I mean, I built a business from the ground up. Getting financial assistance from FEMA is harder than building a business.
Gosh, that's insane.
I'm being
Right.
honest, real with you.
And you're like a sharp, intelligent,
I'm pretty
witty, good communicator, good on tech, right? I mean, you're like if anyone could do it, it's like you should be the person, right? I've met other people that can barely use a phone.
Yeah.
But you are finding it to be a challenge to get through this
because
bureaucratic red tape.
Because they have so much red tape. Because
Right.
it's I can't overcome their policies and procedures. I do everything that they ask. I'm fully capable of writing letters and emails and scanning documents and uploading things and I'm fully capable of all of that, but I can't overcome their policies and procedures that they have in place that make it so hard.
Designed to frustrate.
I feel like it's set up for you to give up
Yeah.
so that they don't pay you out.
Yeah.
That's how it feels.
Yeah. Well, if it feels that
To
way,
me.
it sounds like a duck.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's like I'm an intelligent person. I'm literate. I went to college. Like, you know, I can't. You know, I mean, and I'm having a hard time.
Yeah. It's across the board.
Yeah, it's everyone. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what your level of education is or what your background is. It's like the bottom line is that they're making this a nightmare.
Yeah.
On top of like already
Nightmare.
the nightmare that you lived through and the trauma of evacuating that day and the trauma of all the loss that you have just suffered.
Yeah, you know, normally if you suffer loss at the hands of negligence, the payout's even bigger if there's negligence involved. You know, if someone intentionally neglects to do something, in like a business, you walk in and the biggest payout is if there's some kind of negligence involved.
Yeah.
And I believe that not having cell phone, not having proper evacuation, the firefighters not having water, I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
There's definitely some level of negligence. So in my opinion, there should
There's
be
so much negligence.
the highest level of payout for the people that suffered at the hands of this fire, the highest level. And there shouldn't even be a question. But I'm finding people, their insurance companies are literally creating every roadblock they can think of. Like, oh, sorry, there's no access. It's like, did you not hear the news that Lahaina burned?
Yeah, like
Can you look at a satellite image and figure out that there's a loss here?
It's interesting because it's like somebody, and I will tell you, like these SBA people and FEMA people, they all tell you something different too.
I've heard that too, and it changes weekly.
Yep. And like one SBA person told me, they were like, you know, you should go appeal like the denial for your home loan. Like you should
appeal.
Yeah, like you should get that. And the other thing is, he's like, the way we as SBA people and inspectors look at things when we are coming up with our loans and approving them, like he's like, it's a total loss, like automatic payout for your condo. And I'm like, yeah, like you tell that to my insurance company, like one would think.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad you and I are on the same page, but unfortunately, you're not the one.
You're not the person in charge.
Yeah, you're not the one writing the check.
The
like,
heck?
But yeah, you think if you can't live in the place, if it's inaccessible, unlivable, you know, FEMA asked me to submit a letter from a contractor stating that and stating why, and I did that, and I laid out all the reasons. Like, I built my case as to why my place is not livable and accessible. Still, like, it should be an automatic payout from the insurance company.
Yeah.
You think?
You
right?
would think, yeah.
Like, what is there to inspect,
Right.
figure out?
And that's part of the reason, Brooke, we're making these videos, because I
Yeah.
guarantee every person that's watching this would not think that that's happening. In their mind, they're like, oh yeah, Maui's good, and in a few years they'll all be good, and everything's going to be good. Well, guess what? It is not good.
It's not good.
And
Things are
the
not
only
good.
thing that we have going for us, in my opinion, is a grassroots movement like this, where people can share, they can write their congressman, they can write the Maui County Council, they can do FOIA requests, we can get the actual tapes of everything that happened that day. There's a lot that the citizens of this country can do to help people like Brooke. Everyone that's watching this video can give $5 to her Venmo, right? I'm gonna put your Venmo up there if that's all right.
Yeah.
And instead of like 8 people give $100 and that's it, how about everyone just gives $5, which is less than a trip to Starbucks, or maybe a little baby food for Ava.
Ava eats a lot.
Ava eats a lot, $5 to her Venmo. You know, it's like, let's show the people of Lahaina that you care, because I know you do, but sometimes it's easy just to watch and just go on to the next thing, or go, gosh, that video was too long. But hey, if you'll listen to Joe Rogan for 3 hours, you'll listen to, you know, people and their horrendous plight that they're dealing with here. You'll share it on your IG, your FB, your TikTok. You'll repost it on YouTube. How much longer do we have with Ava, you think?
I think she's melting.
I think it's done. She's melting in the Lahaina sun.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to say before we go?
That I'm like, I met with the SBA. So the other day I had to meet with the SBA loss officer to go over the details for my business loan through the SBA. And you have to break down everything that you've put into that business. And I mean, not only is that hard, but then you're reliving everything you've accomplished and put into through those years. It's extremely
Emotionally dragging. Yeah, I can imagine.
And he looked at me when it was over, and like he felt for me. Like, I told him like the whole situation I'm in right now, and I was like, listen, guy, like I'm living on a hope and a prayer right now. Hope and a prayer. So if there's anything more you can get for me or do for me, I would really appreciate it. And he looked at me and he said, everybody's living on a hope and a prayer right now. And I'm like, okay, thanks. At least, yeah, I guess I can find a little bit of comfort.
Right,
I'm not the only one.
You tried.
I mean, yeah.
You're giving her all she got.
I'm giving it all I got. Yeah, God, yeah. So, but yeah, it was like super hard. It was really emotional for me. It was hard after that.
Well, Brooke, you're a beautiful soul. You have a beautiful daughter.
Thank you.
You didn't deserve this. Obviously, nobody did.
Nobody did.
Nobody did. But
Yeah.
thank you. And I do believe that the people watching this are going to go the extra mile for you and your kiddo. I do believe that.
I hope so. Thank you. Anything will help. Anything, and I will say, like, I've noticed, like, every little thing does really add up. It really does. So if everybody gave somebody $5, it really in this current situation that I'm in, it will change my life.
If they knew how important every little bit counts, and how even a dollar, right? it just adds up.
It adds up.
These videos that we're making are getting, 50 to 100,000 in views, right? I mean, I'm not Mr. Beast. I'm trying to get Mr. Beast to pay attention to us, and hopefully he will. So shout out Beast Philanthropy. But 50 to 100,000 views. If everyone gave you $5, do the math on that. It's crazy, right?
It's
that would
crazy how it
change
can
your
add
life.
up.
That could set you up for some rent money for the next. You're not gonna retire. But
no, but at least give me some breathing room,
right.
so I can breathe and I can go to therapy maybe and
right, yeah.
and just take care of my kid.
And get a break from Ava for a couple hours. And maybe, go to the beach and just try to be normal again.
Yeah,
So
some sense of normalcy, totally.
All right, Brooke. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Aloha. Thank you for being on the channel. I appreciate it.
Thank
Guys,
you for having me.
thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And please, digital warriors, go to work. And I will, as soon as I end this live, I'm going to put her Venmo in the comments and in the description. And if you agree and want to help, I'd love a thumbs up, and put Ava in the comments. EVA.
AVA.
AVA, sorry.
AVA.
AVA, sorry.
Yeah.
AVA.
AVA.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, I never spelled her name before.
It's all good.
Put AVA, hashtag AVA in the
AVA.
comments that says that you are going to support a single mom and her beautiful little 3-year-old girl, and $5 is coming to help. And trust me, it's not easy asking when you need help, and that's why I'm here to help people ask for help, because they don't want to. Trust me, the people of Lahaina are very proud. They don't want to ask, but I'm going to help them ask, because guess what? The government is not doing the job, and if they can give billions to Ukraine and other wars around the world, they can give billions to these people. So write your congressman, do something. We need the voice of America to step up right now and help. Thank you so much. Much aloha. Until next time, Eric West out.